Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to this Friday edition of Breakfast with Bridgett at 7:30 on the dot on this February 9th, 2024. We're just 2 days away from the Super Bowl, and I cannot wait. We're really excited today to bring you some advice from a registered dietitian on having a delicious and healthier spread for the big game on Sunday. We'll also have a preview of Black Men Sundays podcast with photojournalist and podcast host Corie Murray a little bit later. But first, the big weather story is that the heat is back on. Meteorologist Candace Campos is here with, a very lovely spread of days here
Yes,
for us, Candace. And we earned it. We've had some really cold mornings this week.
we really have. And I have my notepad. I'm ready to hear about some good
Mm-hmm.
options for the
Yes.
Super Bowl spread. That's going to be good. Yeah, and as we start moving into Super Bowl Sunday, conditions are going to be great. We're talking temperatures back into low 80s. So if you're done with the cold, you're like, I just want a weekend where I don't have to layer the kids because you have to layer early in the morning, but how warm is it going to get by the afternoon? It's that whole thought process. For at least today and even into your weekend, no need for all the jackets and sweaters. You will not be needing them. All right, so let's take it to the map, show you what's going on across Central Florida. We are dealing with some patchy morning fog this morning. You still need the jacket this morning, but throughout the afternoon, we're going to be seeing those temperatures back to almost seasonal. So as we start talking about warmer weather, more spring-like weather, especially as we head into your weekend, pollen numbers are going to still remain high, but it will be feeling more like Florida, especially come Sunday. Looking at our temperatures right now, it's still a chilly start. Like I said, you certainly need the jackets, but you won't need them throughout the afternoon. We have a big ridge of high pressure in control that's keeping our winds steady onshore. It's that east-southeast breeze that will continue to warm us up. So as we take you here throughout the next few hours, throughout the afternoon by about 3, that's going to be kind of our warmest point of the day. We'll be into the upper 70s, a light breeze, a nice dry day. And then we're going to warm up even further as we head into Super Bowl Sunday. Your highs for Sunday will be up to about 82. That's running 10 degrees above average for this time of the year. Tons of sunshine. We'll wake up with a little bit of cloud cover. So between now and Sunday, even Monday, it is going to be a much warmer outlook than what we're used to. But then some slight changes start moving into the forecast. Our next front is forecast to move in by Monday afternoon and into the evening. As it does so, it will be bringing with it some scattered showers throughout your Monday afternoon. In the meantime, we're just really going to continue to warm up our temperatures, and rain chances do go up at about 20 to 30%. So as we show you here, your next 7 days warm throughout the weekend. Here comes that front come Monday. Oh no, I'm going to show you a different 7 day because you know why? I don't have my heart on that one. Here it is. Valentine's
Aw.
Day is on Wednesday. Temperatures will be much cooler. We'll be in the low 70s. So we're talking about a 10-degree spread between Super Bowl and Valentine's Day. 10 degrees warmer on Sunday, right near normal come Wednesday. So a really nice spread for at least throughout the next 7 days. Rain chances, again, limited. Your best shot comes ahead of that front. But as of now, it doesn't look like it's going to be a very wet front, but certainly we'll be bringing temperatures back to normal for February here in Florida.
All right. I really love it. I'm excited, Candace. Well, thanks so much. I think, it'd be a good
Sure.
pool day. I think the pool will be a little chilly, but it'll be a good pool weekend maybe,
You
especially if
know
you
who
have a
doesn't
heated
care how
pool.
cold the pool is? The children.
That's right. Are you cold? Oh,
Their
I'm not
lips will be
cold.
purple. They'll be
Oh,
chattering. It's so cold. But they still want to jump in. So
they do. All right. Thanks, Candace.
you're welcome.
We have an update on the homeless shelter fire that we brought you yesterday morning as part of some breaking news stories. And there was a fire at the men's shelter at the Coalition for the Homeless in Orlando day before yesterday. And so they were looking for help because more than 200 homeless people have been displaced. The facilities where the kitchen prepares meals for the women and children who are sheltered on another part of their properties was also damaged. So, we let the community know that there was a need for, support. And of course, the community is helping get results. And News 6's Mark Lehman has the latest.
I ended up staying over at Winter Park. They took us on buses over there, and there was a couple of different places that people stayed.
Michael Boudreau is one of 237 men forced from the Coalition for the Homeless Shelter after Wednesday's fire. All of them are now looking at more than a week before they'll be able to return because of the damage inside.
My belongings are still in there. I don't know if they're soaking wet. You know, I had 2 computers in my locker. I'm hoping to God they're dry.
With so many displaced, extra supplies are needed and several organizations are stepping up.
So the needs have ranged from everything from blankets and pillows and those items that have been lost due to the water damage and smoke damage, along with their clothing items.
Nonprofits like Light Orlando working with community partners to replace belongings lost in the fire. An overwhelming effort so far, but more help is also needed.
I really just want to say that the community and our staff hold together to do amazing things.
So that's a great update, and we look forward to following along with that. And hopefully, you know, they were hoping that it'd just be a few days, but now hearing that it might be nearly 2 weeks, hopefully that time gets cut back down and they can get back into the facilities that are so desperately needed. But we will keep you updated here and on clickorlando.com, as well as our newscast on News 6. We talked about the Super Bowl, and it will be on News 6 on WKMG on Sunday night, and kickoff is at 6:30. And if you're like me, it's not just about the football, it's also about the food. And that's why we decided to bring on a special guest this morning, a registered dietitian with Orlando Health, Shannon O'Meara. And she joins us this morning to talk about, you know, the big spread, the menu, the recipes. Good morning, Shannon.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You know, we talk about these, I guess you could call them holidays, or, you know, very, very significant food events. And I think Super Bowl is right up there with, you know, some of our major holidays.
Yeah, so the Super Bowl is a really big food-centric holiday. It's said on average that the typical person consumes like 2,400 calories just by watching the Super Bowl alone. So it's a really big food important holiday, even up there, I would say, with like Thanksgiving.
And so what is it that we really should watch out for? I would imagine that you just rack up really fast on the bad fats. And like you said, your calorie intake is double where it probably should be, or almost double.
Yeah, calorie intake just on Super Bowl food alone could be really high. So you do want to watch out for things like saturated fat, sodium. All those things really add on to a lot of extra weight that's unintended. It could also lead to a lot of fluid retention and just making you not feel great the day after. So trying to make some healthier choices will definitely be better, whether you're hosting or whether you are actually attending a party. Be conscious of what you're eating or serving. Trying to choose or serve low-fat options as possible. So if you're doing like a cream cheese-based dip, get the low-fat cream cheese. You won't notice the difference in flavor, I promise you that. And you keep the integrity of the dish, which is always great to see.
When you look at things like the cream, you said get the reduced fat cream cheese, you won't miss that. What about some of the other good swaps that, you know, aren't as noticeable? I know you mentioned something about using yogurt in place of different things.
Yeah, so I love to use plain non-fat Greek yogurt as a really good substitute for sour cream. You can't even taste the difference. I do it on tacos, I do it in dips. You won't notice a difference there. Another great swap that I like to do is, instead of mayonnaise, is using cottage cheese actually. So if you're not a fan of cottage cheese, if you don't like the texture, what I would recommend doing is actually putting the cottage cheese in a food processor or blender, blending it up until it's smooth and creamy, using that in place, and you already increase the protein content, which will help make you feel fuller for longer when you use it in place of something like mayonnaise.
I have never heard of that one before. That is a good idea, because I know cottage cheese is like one of those good, you know, relatively healthy protein packed snacks, but I could never get over the texture. But like you said, I mean, because I have one of those little tiny, you know, not expensive food processors. So you could just put a little in there, pulse it a few times, and then you wouldn't even really realize it. Now, should you season that, or?
So cottage cheese is actually very salty if you look at the sodium content of it. Okay. That's something that I would watch. I mean, if you can find a reduced sodium cottage cheese, go ahead and get that one. But And knowing that if you are using saltier ingredients, whether it's cottage cheese, soy sauce, anything really canned, or if you get it frozen and it has some seasoning on it, don't add the salt until the end. Make sure you are tasting your food as you're going, because you can always put salt in, but you can't take it out. So
Yeah, that's
keep that
true.
in mind.
And you mentioned the yogurt. So which types of yogurt, or do you recommend a certain brand to use when you're looking to sub? You said sub the sour cream totally for a yogurt.
Yeah, so plain non-fat Greek yogurt is going to be the best choice. Any brand will work, store brand or a brand name. I don't have any particular choice, or they've all worked for me over the time. So I really like that as an option. Low fat cream cheese. Always buy the low sodium canned goods, and that should be it.
And
Really
when we
focus on making sure you're using herbs, seasonings as well,
hmm
trying to stay away from that salt shaker.
Yeah, the salt-free seasonings first. And like you said, if you do want salt, wait until the end to try to see if you need to add any, if at all. And so when it comes
Yeah.
to sort of the preparation, because see, like I'm a person, I'm I'm a wings person. Like I love wings. Last year I made barbecue meatballs in the crock pot. That was a huge hit. But you're saying that you can still have those things as well, but look at, grilling instead, right? Or what types of cooking methods would you recommend to sort of cut down on the greasiness and the extra fats that you don't need?
Yeah, so if you do really enjoy wings, you don't have to switch it out to a cauliflower wing. You can still have the regular wing. What I would recommend for you to do is actually just getting it skinless, or you can cook it skin on, but just remove the skin before eating. That cuts down on a lot of the saturated fat.
It's
You
the
can
best
bake
part,
it, grill
Shannon.
it, air fry it. What was that?
I said the skin's the best part.
I'm sorry, but we know that there is a lot of saturated fat that's contained in animal fats as well as poultry skin. So if you really are watching your
hmm
health, your diet, and watching your cardiac health specifically, cutting down on that saturated fat is going to be the easiest and best way to do it. So if you want to
Maybe
think
just
about
eat one
your
skin and take the rest off, the rest of them.
yeah. Think about it as a budget, Like if you're allotted, we recommend less than 10% of your calorie intake for the day coming from saturated fat.
hmm
Same thing with calorie intake, all of your nutrients. Look at that as a budget.
hmm
So you want to really stay consistent with what you're eating. You don't want to have a super light breakfast just because you know you're going to be eating a lot
hmm
during the Super Bowl. I recommend staying consistent, still eat a normal breakfast, just really regulate the snacking. Just be mindful of what you're eating on and snacking on throughout the game. If you want, try to make it a priority. Like, I'm only going to eat during the even numbered quarters of the game, or I'm only going to eat during this halftime show, which
hmm
I'm very excited about.
Oh, me
But
too. Yes, food,
um,
halftime, commercials. Those are my biggest priorities.
yeah, I agree. And like, even during the commercials, we currently have a challenge going on here at work where with certain types of commercials, you do certain types of physical activity. So
Okay.
if you are in a group or if you're watching alone, try to get up and get active during these commercials. Like if you see a food commercial, maybe start doing some squats until it's over. If you see a car
Okay.
commercial, then do something else.
That's a very mindful way to just not be a couch potato for this whole thing.
Hmm.
What about the air fryer? How do you feel about that? Because we talked about grilling, but sometimes grilling, maybe you don't have a grill, maybe it's not allowed where you live, maybe you're not
Hmm.
good at it. So, I mean, what do you think about air fryer instead as like a cooking method?
An air fryer is a great cooking method. If you don't have one, you don't need to buy one. An air fryer is essentially just a very small and high powered convection oven. So if you have a convection oven, that's always an option that you can do. But an air fryer is just really popular because of how crispy it gets things. So an air fryer is a great option. When you do use one, use minimal amounts of oil. That's the whole point of the air fryer, so you're not using as much oil. You're not deep frying things.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're getting like store-bought tater tots, don't put any oil on them, just put it in. You'll be amazed at how much oil is actually coming out of that product once it's cooked.
Mm-hmm. Because our products like those, potatoes, are they sort of like partially already cooked? Is that what it is? Is that why there's oil that comes out when you get like the
Correct.
frozen tots and fries?
Yeah, they're already partially cooked. So, and I think they already do some of that in the pre-cooking process. So there is no need to add any extra oil. Just stop the
Mm.
cooking process in between the whole time that you're doing it. So if you're cooking it for about 10 minutes, what I recommend is pulling it out at 5, tossing it a little bit. So that way you can just break it up and then get some more airflow in between all the individual products, put it back in, and then finish cooking it off. At the end, you'll see a bunch of air or oil at the bottom, which almost grosses me out, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, at least you know it's a better cooking option at the end of the day.
You talked about being mindful of maybe incorporating some physical activity if you see certain commercials or there's different parts in the game. What about being a mindful host in terms of just like what you're offering? Like, what are suggestions to sort of, because I joked about buffalo cauliflower instead of wings, and no one really wants to hear that swap if they really want wings, but there are people who maybe they don't eat meat, or they love buffalo cauliflower or something like that. How do you incorporate something for everyone?
Yeah, so I mean, before I host anything, I always like to ask my guests coming if do they have any food allergies, or are they sticking to any certain types of diet? Because as a host, I just really like to make sure that I provide something that is available for everyone to eat. Always try to make sure that you have some type of vegetable option, whether it's just vegetables that you can put into dips or serve a salad on the side. Just stay mindful and just give
Mm-hmm.
people the opportunity to make that healthy choice, because just like cookies, if you see something, you're gonna want it. It's just like toys with kids. If you put toys away, they're not gonna want to play with it. As soon as they find it, they take it out. They want to play with that toy all day. Same thing when it comes to food. If you're serving cookies, people are gonna want cookies. If you serve vegetables with dips, they're gonna probably want that crunchy like celery or carrots with that dip.
Mm-hmm. And before we go, we talked about food safety because sometimes, you're eating before the game, during the game, and then things are still sitting out. So what do you recommend people do to make sure that they are properly, displaying or storing things that they have out to eat?
Yeah, when it comes to food safety, that's very important, especially considering the duration of the game. So, what I recommend is just looking at the CDC resources on food safety. They're very well laid out, very easy to follow. The biggest thing is make sure you have a food thermometer if you are following those guidelines, so that way you can check the temperature of your food. And a good rule of thumb is keep your hot food hot and your cold food cold.
All right, because we don't want anyone calling out on Monday, Super Bowl Monday.
Yeah.
Well, Shannon, this is great info. I'm going to definitely try some of those swaps as well and suggestions. Thank you so much for the information and have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Take care. All right. If you hadn't heard, we are giving away 2 Super Bowl coins made at a mint here in Central Florida. Head over to clickorlando.com/insider to enter to win that contest for one of those 2 coins. This is an awesome opportunity. So get your chance in to win. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Back at 7:48, and it's a happy Friday, and on Fridays we like to preview what's coming up on Black Men Sundays podcast with News 6 photojournalist Corie Murray, and he is with us again this morning. Good morning, Corie.
Good morning. How you doing? Happy Friday.
Oh, happy Friday. I'm trying to keep my voice. The pollen and dust is trying to get me, but I'm going to get through this Friday. And do you have big Super Bowl plans?
Well, first off, yeah, I think I'm gonna go to my brother Robert Brown's house. He's having a Super Bowl party. He's got the big screen with the surround sound. So I'm gonna pull up. About 7 o'clock on the dot. I'm gonna be at my drop top, cruising the streets. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my goodness. All right, that sounds good. Are you making anything? You gonna make anything?
But now, I don't cook. But first off, I gotta keep it real with you. I'm in the doghouse. My back hurt. I might call in sick today. I got back spasms. I was on the couch last night, Bridget. I didn't tell my
Oh
wife we had a
no.
chili cook-off at work, and she kind of heard she kind of heard the station had a chili cook-off, and she was like, "Hold up, you ain't telling them about my chili, my ground beef and steak." So
Uh-oh.
guess what she did to me last night? I slept on the couch. I slept on the couch. I had to order. I spent $40 on Uber Eats with some catfish and cheese grits.
Oh
What?
my
And
goodness.
she and
So,
she made the chili in my face, but I couldn't have none.
oh, that
Yeah,
hurts. I'm sorry for your
yeah.
loss, Corey.
Ooh. Definitely, definitely. But
Oh my
let's get to
goodness.
some Black Men
I'm
Sundays
excited
business.
about this. So you have a two-time NBA champ who has parlayed into so many other ventures on your show.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. First off, shout out to Dr. Melody Cherie Rogers. It's one of those days where it was a Sunday morning, 7 a.m. I checked my DM on Instagram, and Melody Cherie Rogers, from Love and Marriage Huntsville, hit me up. She said, I have somebody that'd be great for your podcast. I said, all right, who is it? She said, it's Josh Powell. I said, you talking about two-time NBA champ Josh Powell? She said, yes. Linked up with him. Me and him talked for like a whole week. Man, this conversation runs deep. First off, we talking about setting up a foundation. A lot of brothers have LLCs, INC businesses, but what about what about when you setting up a foundation? Because it's a little different with the foundation. You have to have board members, and I've spoken to brothers that have foundations that got voted out by their board members. So we asked him, on a business level, how did he set up his foundation? It's called 21 Reasons to Give Foundation. Also, another topic that we discuss, and you're going to hear this repeatedly on Black Men Sundays when we talk about relationships, right? When we talk about marriage, who you going to have your kids with, that's an investment as well. So we talked to him about that because he told us he spent over $700,000 in lawyer fees by, but anyway, let's get to this soundbite because here's what I want to talk about. Like, I could not wait to ask him. Kobe Bryant. I'm just upset that he won a championship against our Magic, the 09-10 team. We lost that.
Oh, that was
But
one
I
of
asked him, I
them.
said, yes, when they came to Orlando and won. But I had to ask him. I said, "Okay, you played with Kobe Bryant on a business level because this is Black Men Sundays. We're talking about generational wealth, finance, business, and mental health." I said, what did you learn from Kobe Bryant on a business level?" Let's roll that soundbite.
What I learned by watching him, and it's just greatness and the attention to detail, whether it was on or off the court. The time when I was with the Lakers, I had a chance to, because he would bring me to his events. He would bring me even to business meetings. I remember there was business meetings that, we walking through kitchens, we heading up certain ways and sneaking in the back room doors. And then all of a sudden, it's me, him, Jay-Z, Steve Stout. Everybody else gone. It's just us upstairs, and and I'm just being a fly on the wall. It's been all kind of situations like that, watching him move and then seeing how he was with Vanessa, seeing how he was with his kids. Because I know at that time in my first marriage, I was having those conversations, trying to figure it out, all those different things. So it was beautiful to watch him more so than to hear him, because he backs it up in both ways.
Definitely. And coming out of that soundbite, the show drops this Sunday. This conversation, Bridget, runs deep. We're talking about how to select, because this brother had over 5 financial advisors. So how do we select the right financial advisor for us? This brother
Hmm.
also owns multiple properties. And on Black Men Sundays, we talk about generational wealth, finance, and business, but and we also talk about generational trauma. But what about
Hmm.
relationship trauma? We
Hmm.
we talk about that with him, and we also talk about, again, the real important part of this conversation. I mean, because the thing about it, when you get NBA players on, this brother was open. I mean, the conversation was a good hour and a half. I really could have spoke. I really could have spoken to him for like a good 2 or 3 hours. But
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think
the
that you
tips he
could you could
gave.
definitely have him on again, right? Because he's talking about a lot of vulnerable personal things as well as some business points as well.
Yeah, because I mean, the whole point about it is, it's a financial conversation. But the thing about it, because this brother's also the co-host of the Relationships Matters podcast, I
Hmm.
had to check out a few episodes, doing my homework. I'm a
Hmm.
journalist. People see, because I'm a photographer, like, I know how to research and do all that too. I
Well,
went
we
to
call it
FAMU. Let's not forget that.
photojournalist, Corey.
There we go. I just, I just
Photojournalist.
wanted to make it clear. Definitely, definitely.
So his podcast focuses on relationships.
Definitely. Yes, he has a co-host. She's single and he's married. So you kind of get that double perspective on things, which is it's interesting,
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about Black Men Sundays, we didn't want to go too heavy on that. We still have to,
Mm-hmm.
stick to what our
But
premise
it all
is,
works together though, Corie, because I think what you alluded to is that, some of those lows, those low points that we will naturally have in our journey, are financial hits as well. I mean, am I right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, what I was alluding to earlier, um, when we talk about financial decisions, relationships, that's a big part of that. This brother spent over $700,000. He said, I'm quoting him right now. He said, we talking about generational wealth. Imagine if I could have kept that $700,000 that I spent on legal fees and added that to my family. And that struck a chord with me because I'm sitting here
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know if I could even spend $700,000. Like what?
Yeah, yeah. It's really when you talk to people who've had those professional careers where some years you're making millions, and then you transition to other years where you're going into other businesses and other career paths. There's a big transition there, and a lot of planning has to go into that too.
Definitely. I'm glad you brought that up because I asked him, like, okay, you played in the NBA. This brother played ball overseas. You saw a lot of money. You know what he told me? He said he just turned 41 a week ago. He said he just got an 800 credit score. He said when he was
Mm-hmm.
making all that money, he had a low credit score. And that kind of blew me away because I'm thinking, you in the NBA, you got all that money. You should easily have an 800, but that's a misnomer. I've never played in the NBA. I've never cashed an NBA check. I wouldn't know what to do. I mean, I would now, obviously, but if I'm 19, this brother came in the league at 19 years old. So
Wow. Well, I
interesting
can't wait to hear
conversation.
more. Yeah, I think surely after this one, you'll probably check in with him again. And I love the advice and the different perspectives, Corie. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you and happy Friday.
Happy
I can't
Friday.
wait to halftime. My
I
man Usher
know.
gonna tear the
I
stage up with
know.
that nice and slow because
I
it's
might see you
7
there.
o'clock. I'm in my drop
All
top,
right.
cruising the streets. All right,
Bye,
Bridget. Happy
Corie.
Friday.
Happy Friday.
Bye.
All right, we got to get out of here. Don't forget, Florida's Fourth Estate live at the Ale House in Winter Park tonight. Make sure you get there early. And all the details are on clickorlando.com. Have a happy, safe, enjoyable weekend. And we'll see you back here on Super Bowl Monday. Take care.